This idea of hustler to hero is one of my favorite parts of the Indian narrative, because in my mind it's talking about someone who's going from just working hard and grinding away to finding a way to elevate themselves above the pack. And I actually think it's pretty much the modern day Indian fairy tale. So avoiding the burnout, how to go from hustle to hero, I think there's a few main things. One is, if you love your work, then it's not going to feel like work, so it's not going to burn you out because you're going to be engaged and mostly, no one's always happy with their work, but full of joy during the work. So that's the part. You've actually got to enjoy the grind or feel good about the grind. Feeling good about the grind comes from the coaching why. If you know that this job is worth doing, that the work now is worth the benefit that it's going to bring in the future, then it doesn't feel like a grind, it feels like something that's purposeful, and that's what keeps you going. And in particular, I think that's why a lot of Indians who migrate to Australia are sort of looked upon with great respect and reverence, because they come to Australia and work so hard because for them they're building themselves a better life. And I think that's any immigrant, is that they dump everything, move overseas, work their guts out to build for the next generation. And it definitely needs to be a plan. I know I've done this a few times in my career where I've worked a whole weekend and then maybe fried a hard drive and lost 16 hours of work, or worked really hard on a project to go and present it on Monday to be told the client has changed their directives or their priorities, and it can feel a little bit heartbreaking. So it really is about making sure the effort is worthwhile, and that continues just to refuel itself. But yeah, the limitations of the hustle, and the main one for me is around, as we get tired, the prefrontal cortex that does executive decision making and helps us control our emotions starts to fall apart a bit. So as a result, we start to get a bit shit with our work because we're not as able to focus, we're not thinking as clearly. Then if we're working with others and we have emotional outbursts, then well, what's the point of working at that stage if you're not doing anything of value and if you're annoying others while you're working? And I think this is one of the challenges that's going to face India at the moment, similar to what we understand is playing out in China at the moment, which is that bailan, or let it rot, and then there's the lying flat movement or the involution movement for those people who just think that the hustle isn't going to lead anywhere anymore. I think in India there's still massive opportunity. I can't comment on the other place in the world, but it really is about finding that unique opportunity and creating that series of steps to find a way to shift from hustle to hero. Yeah, I've been self-employed for 25 years, and it's interesting when you reflect that so much of it feels just like a grind, and you kind of forget at times how much you've achieved and what you've done. I think as I get older, I'm getting better at managing my energy, but I'm also getting better at managing myself. I'm fitter than I've ever been. I work with more productivity and focus. At the moment, I'm possibly doing more hours than I've done for quite a few years, but I'm really enjoying my work. I'm fitting it in with my life. I've still got the family time, so it's pretty cool. Doesn't mean I'll end up as a hero though. And yet, direction, purpose, why, fuel the motivation, wake up pumped, and you'll get anything done. And let's face it, if you do want to achieve what others can't, you've got to be willing to do what they won't. Sometimes that's more hours, but in the age of AI, I think that's also becoming a bit more about who can think cleverly, and I think we're going to see some very cool stuff happen.